And welcome to the Tuesday, January 26th, 2021 regular business meeting of the East Bay MUD Board of Directors. Due to COVID-19 and in accordance with the latest Alameda County Health Order and with the Governor's Executive Order 92920, which suspends portions of the Brown Act, this meeting will be conducted remotely. In compliance with said orders, a physical location has not been provided for this meeting. These measures will only apply during the period in which state or local public health officials have imposed or recommended social distancing. The Finance Committee and Sustainability Energy Committee met this morning and will report out under item 10. Also, the board held and attended the fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23 budget workshop number 1 this morning to receive information about the biennial budget and rates. Can we have roll call?
Directors Coleman.
Present.
Katz.
Present.
McIntosh. Mellon.
Present.
Patterson. You're on mute, Mr. Patterson.
Present.
Thank you. Young.
Present.
President Lenny.
Here.
And Director McIntosh just joined the meeting.
Okay, that's great. It is now time for the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Next item is approval of the 2021 board committee assignments. Everyone should have seen those. Is there any questions or anything? And if not, can I have a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second. Second.
When seconded. Any other discussion or comments? Basically, I kept everybody in the same place and substituted Marguerite for my places on the board. So pretty straightforward that way.
Easy.
All right.
Ready for the roll call vote?
Secretary, will you please call the roll call vote?
Directors Coleman.
Yes.
Katz.
Yes.
McIntosh. Director McIntosh, you're on mute.
Also frozen. I think she's in the cryogenic machine. Maybe she'll get out with it a little bit.
Director Mellon.
Yes.
Patterson.
Yes.
Young.
Yep.
President Lenny.
Yes.
Director McIntosh, if you can raise your hand to indicate that you are voting for the 2021 committee assignments. Thank you.
Okay. There we go. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Got it. Oh, I see. There was even a script.
It's off. It says off mute.
The
Yeah,
whole
you're
script,
off.
Doug.
Yeah. Off script. All right. Well, we got that passed. The next item, very important. Today, I'd like to thank Marguerite Young for her service as board president. Director Young was elected to the East Bay MUD board in 2014, was reappointed in 2018, and has served 2 terms as board president. Director Young represents Ward 3, which includes Piedmont, Orinda, Moraga, El Sobrante, and portions of Oakland, Panola, and Richmond. She is also a member of East Bay MUD's retirement board. Director Young has been active in water quality and water policy issues throughout her career, from serving co-chair of the CalFed Bay Delta Program's Water Quality Committee and on the board of Clean Water Action to co-founding the League of Conservation Voters, the East Bay. She is a strong advocate for environmental protection. Her passion for protecting our waterways extended to championing efforts to secure the wild and scenic designation for the Mokelumne River. As an accomplished kayaker, Marguerite is a fierce protector of the Mokelumne River and the San Francisco Bay. During her 7 years at EBMUD, Director Young has made important and lasting contributions to the district and the broader community. She championed projects like the Orinda Water Treatment Plant upgrades, the West Side Pumping Plant replacement, and the pipeline rebuild program. She also advocated for increasing the district's investment in renewable energy projects and taking action to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Director Young never loses sight of the impacts of our work on our communities, and she has worked hard to ensure we minimize the impacts of our infrastructure and construction work. She is proactive and responsive in communicating with her constituents and the broader EBMUD service area. Director Young has led the effort on water affordability and accessibility and the district's assistance to customers struggling with water bills, especially during the pandemic. Director Young has been a driving force behind the district's resolution on racial equity and justice and diversity and inclusion strategic plan, ensuring the district is an advocate for equity in the community, in business practices, and in all services. Through her leadership, vision, and energy, we continue to improve how we provide a vital service to our community in an era of rapid change and increasing complexity. Recognition of your service. As board president, Director Young, we present you with the president's plaque. Thank you for your service to the board, the organization, and to the diverse community we serve. Oh, you had it all along.
Wow, that was pretty slick.
By the magic of Zoom and the efficiency and foresight of our board secretary, I'm holding the actual plaque, which is cool. I tried to get it delivered directly to my office, and there, because it's like, there's a package for you and a plaque for you, and I'm like, huh? I completely, forgot about the whole pomp and circumstance of the past president thing. So thank you for that lengthy acknowledgement, and appreciate working with you all. And I think I said most of my stuff last time, and so I will leave it at that in the interest of time. Thank you all.
Thank you, Marguerite.
I was going to say it looked like a Penn and Teller moment.
Well, I had to get the, depending on these virtual screens are actually just two-dimensional. So you have to have it, it disappears if you bring it forward.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Great. There are no formal announcements required from closed session. However, I did want to make a note that the board did hear the comments made at the public comments portion of our closed session. And we have directed staff to make a change in the mandatory requirements of COVID testing, given a number of factors, and that the unions can expect to have some written communication about this specifically. But again, I want to extend my thanks to all the employees who came to the public comment section and made comments. It did influence our deliberations today. And with that,
Doug, can I just say something? I do want to say, that the decision that was made 2 weeks ago was the board's decision. And in light of the serious surge in COVID in our community, and in wanting to add another layer of protection that we felt would be needed. So that was not the staff's recommendation. It was our decision, and we take that And it was my last meeting as president, so that's why I'm making the statement here. But concur strongly with Doug that we all took to heart the comments that have been made, and you'll be hearing from management in writing coming out soon. So thank you.
Thank you, Marguerite. With that, we are on to public comment. If members of the public wish to speak on an agenda or a non-agenda item, please raise your hand, use the raise your hand feature in Zoom. At this time, we'll take comments on non-agenda items. And if you have agenda items that's specific to an agenda, then we'll take that at the appropriate time there. When prompted, please state your name, affiliation, if applicable, and topic. The secretary will call each speaker in the order received. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak. However, I have the discretion to amend the time based on the number of speakers or other factors. The secretary will track time and inform each speaker when his or her allotted time has concluded. Do we have any public speakers at this time, Madam Secretary?
President Lenny, you have two public speakers. You have George Cleveland first, Eric Larson second.
Okay, and these are for items that are not on the agenda.
Correct.
Specific, right? Okay.
Mr. Cleveland, is
Go ahead.
your comment on an item that's not on the agenda?
Yes, it's two things. I'm commenting in a dual role as the chief steward of Local 2019 and as a member of the Reigning Pride affinity group. Thank you for the first part. Thank you for listening to the folks who spoke at closed session. I would have been one of them, but I was actually testifying in an arbitration, so I couldn't come in and advise you to rethink your policy, and I'm glad you did. The second is actually for Director Young, and because of my second affiliation, Director Linney, the proclamation you read for Director Young was most wonderful. I just wanted to put out there the specific support that she has given our affinity group. And we greatly, greatly appreciate that support. It makes us feel wanted and needed and a part of the overall district family. And to have a director looking out for our best interests as an affinity group is a big thing. And we are most appreciative. So on behalf of the affinity group, I just want to extend my thanks to Director Young for her continued support. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, George.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, we have Eric Larson. Eric, I've unmuted your phone. Should be able to unmute your mic, and your time will start now.
Thank you, Risha. Thank you, President Lenny, for your report back from closed session, and thank you, President Young, for your past service as president of the board. I was contacted during lunch by a number of my members who were lamenting difficulty in accessing the Zoom meetings, and I wanted to provide just a brief comment on access to board meetings. So if you go to the board, EBMUD board website, just says, as President Lenny read, due to the COVID-19 and in accordance with Alameda County and blah, 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 there's no clear guidance from that page as to how to actually access the Zoom meeting to provide comments. One is left to have the video live stream or dig around on a sidebar or hopefully find the agenda and maybe have the ability or wherewithal to scroll all the way to the bottom of the agenda and find the Zoom link. I respectfully request that there be a more obvious pathway placed on the board meeting webpage for the public and members' participation to provide comment to the board of directors for future board meetings. Thank you, and thanks for your service.
Eric, this is Risha.
Go ahead.
Just wanted, based on an email I received earlier when we had to reset the start time for the board meeting, we will be updating the webpage with information on how to provide public comment and also including the links to the various Zoom meetings. So thank you for that comment. We'll be working on that after this meeting.
And thank you, Risha.
All right, any other public comment?
I have one other person for public comment. Nathan Lawton, I'm going to unmute your phone. And you should be able to unmute your mic.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm going to start your 3 minutes now.
It sounds like some of my concerns were addressed earlier in the closed session, but I do just have one concern that I want to share, and it may have been addressed earlier as well, is in the vaccination and the expectation of 80% of us being vaccinated. I myself and the majority of your employees, I can't speak for everyone, but the ones that I work with are not comfortable with a vaccine this new. And we all believe in pro-choice in every bit of the way, and just don't believe in it being forced on us. I just wanted to share that with you, how uncomfortable that makes your employees.
That was
right.
it? Okay.
Thank you for your comments. With that, then, we will move on to the consent calendar. And we have 8 items there. Does anyone have anything that they want to have further discussion on, or do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
I'll second after Lisa.
Okay, moved by Lisa, seconded by John. I will ask for a roll call vote.
Directors Coleman,
Yes.
Katz,
Yes.
McIntosh,
Yes.
Mellon,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Young.
Yes, and I want to welcome Alex Culp back to EBMUD
All right.
Yeah.
as my surrogate board member.
And President Lenny.
Yes. And I just wanted to thank everyone who is serving as the standby officers. I know they don't get all the fun of actually being at the podium or at the dais, but have to fill out the forms and the rest there. So I appreciate their service and their willingness to serve, including our new guy, this Alexander R. Coat guy. So.
Doug,
All
can I
right,
make a quick comment?
Oh, go ahead,
On the
John.
BD1s, I meant to last week at the end of the meeting, and I forgot. I really like the new layout where it has in the BD1, and it talks about the different areas of the organization that it has to go to sign off on it, the very top of it. I think that's a nice improvement. So whoever came up with that, thank you.
All right. Some of the new stuff you'll expect is a president of the board to trying to take credit for it. Thank you, staff.
Take credit for what you can while you can.
Right. The honeymoon doesn't last long enough. All right, on to determination and discussion.
Yeah, I have
General manager's report.
I have 2 items, and yeah, thank you, President Lenny, for that great idea for the BD1 change. The first is our water supply update, and while precipitation has been below average since our January 12th meeting, we are expecting a pretty strong and cold storm this week, and expect snow levels at lower elevations and heavy rain as well. Dave Briggs, Director of Operations and Maintenance, will provide you the update and what we expect in the forecast.
President Lenny, and good afternoon, members of the board. Are we ready to go, Janetta, here? And I'm going to move the slides if that's okay with you.
Dave,
Okay.
I'm going to interrupt for a moment. Doug, I need to bow out and go get a procedure taken care of.
All right. Thank you for
So
your
I'm
service.
leaving the meeting at this point. Sorry, guys.
Thank you for your service.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, again. And the high pressure ridge that's been sitting over California for the past 6 weeks finally moved eastward, and these slides were prepared while we were still under the influence of that ridge. So you're not going to see some too impressive of numbers because the slides were updated last week, but I know the board is aware that we've entered a wet pattern now that's already yielded a few things for us over the weekend, and I'll update the numbers and then get a little more detail to the storm that's coming in that Clifford was alluding to. But first, looking at the water production, again, the red line is the water production through this fiscal year, all the way through the middle of January, about halfway through, a little over halfway through. And we are projected to produce 170 million gallons per day on average. And after accounting for water losses in the distribution system, that'll translate to a sales number we predict by the end of the fiscal year that'll be right in line with what Sophia was telling you this morning, where we'll again be in that good situation where we will sell more water than we forecasted in the revenue model. So a very conservative approach and consistent with what you heard this morning. So all things looking good there. Now where things are not looking very good, I guess. So we're, for this update, through last week, we were only 36% average with the upper McKellamie watershed. And we probably picked up another inch over the past few days. So this is through January 19th. We probably picked up another inch or so recently. And we are predicting another 5 inches of precipitation, both rain and snow, in the watershed in the next 72 hours or so. So despite what it looks like right now, we might actually approach, I know January is almost running out here, but by the end of the month, we might be approaching a normal January, probably just shy of that. But things should get better quickly. And as Clifford mentioned, this is a cold storm, which is another godsend, because getting this much precipitation, we're expecting up to 100 inches of snow in the upper edges of the watershed up at 8,000 feet. So luckily, this is a very cold storm with snow down to 2,500 or so, and the snow will stay up there. As the board is aware, this time of year, if too much water comes down the river, that creates other issues, of course, and we can't keep the water. We've got to pass it through to maintain our flood reservation. So this is exactly what we want, and hopefully when we return in a couple weeks with the next presentation, things will look much better than what we're showing here. So similarly, we're only 21% of average locally. That number does not reflect the half inch or so that we got over the weekend. So January precip is probably closer to an inch, maybe an inch and few tenths here in our watersheds locally. And we're expecting 2 to 3 inches with the storm coming in that should arrive late tonight and early tomorrow morning. So hopefully we'll get what has been advertised as a moderate atmospheric river centered on San Luis Obispo, Big Sur area, South Santa Cruz County, but we will all benefit from this. The Central Sierra will benefit, and even the Northern Sierra will benefit, where I think they're anticipating even more snow. Speaking of snow, so the red line shown here, I believe, is 27 inches of accumulated snow depth at Caples. This is 8,000 feet in the watershed, well below average. We have right now, I think if we update it through today, it's closer to 38 inches of snow depth. That's still below average, but we should be packing on another 80 to 100 inches here in the next few days. So things will hopefully look much different here when we return in 2 weeks. And just getting numbers on that snowpack, 51 right now, or as of last week, it was 51% of average in terms of snow depth and in the mid 50s in terms of water content. We'll see some changes there quickly. Our storage, just under 560,000 acre feet of total storage in the system. And again, this won't change much with this storm. Luckily, it's cold, so the river will come up and flow, but it will not be, it'll not be a high level of flow. It'll remain as snow for quite some time. This is exactly what we want. I'd also mention here that because I know it's been on the board's radar, that we do have construction up in the Party Tunnel right now, which is limiting imported water from Pardee, also keeping more storage up there. We're leaning heavily on our local storage right now to supply the water system and making sure that the customers are aware that they may experience some changes in the aesthetics of the water as we shift to more of a local blend compared to what some may be used to coming from Pardee. And the last slide here, just showing the projected system storage from this point forward. We show the 3 hydrologies here. The red line, the bottom, being a dry, very conservative hydrology, would lead us to 400,000 acre-feet of carryover storage at the end of September. We are not going to track that dry of hydrology for the next 2 weeks. I should also mention that the storm door has finally opened, and there's been a lot of attention on the atmospheric river that's going to come into the area tonight and over the next few days. We will quickly start to tease apart what the next system is bringing to us in the middle of next week. So it looks like the door is going to stay open for at least another 7 to 10 days or so. Hopefully the next storm will be just as productive and just as cold. And that, as long as the high ridge does not settle back in over California, we could be in good shape here. But looking at these projections, a dry hydrology will put us well below 500,000 acre-feet of carryover storage, a median hydrology in the mid 500s of carryover storage, and if we turn wet from here, we'll fill the system. And as I said, we are not tracking 90% hydrology in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna track a wet hydrology for the next 2 weeks, but we can't really see beyond that. So it's early, lots of scenarios to play out, but very, very glad to see the ridge has moved on and open up the door here for some more interesting weather. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, I don't see any questions. So the next item is our coronavirus update. And I think as the board's aware, there's a lot of changes going on with COVID-19. And you'll see that in some of the slides, which don't reflect the most recent changes from the state. I think you all heard just yesterday the governor lifted the regional stay-at-home order, and he also announced new plans for vaccine distribution. So Dave, again, will give the update and talk about the changes.
Okay, hello again, President Lenny, members of the board. We'll get to the next one here. And let's see, do I have control agenda? Click in the presentation. There we go, thank you. Okay, so yeah, it's been a very dynamic weather, state policy on COVID, and the data itself. A lot of changes just in the past few days. So as Clifford was alluding to, the data has changed for the better. Most metrics related to COVID, infection rate, positivity rate, transmission rate, hospitalization, percentage of capacity, all of those numbers are not only are they improving, but they're rapidly improving. We won't say how long that trend will continue for, but it's a very welcome trend, and everything is going in a very good direction right now. So that led to an immediate pivoting at the state level, with the governor making announcements today and hinting at them over the weekend. I think just an hour ago or so, Dr. Ghali, the state health officer, delivered the message on behalf of the governor and lifted the regional stay-at-home order for all of California. It was lifted in some counties just last week, and it was lifted statewide a few hours ago. All counties are in the purple tier. That's the most restrictive tier. And from there, if the numbers continue to improve based on the state's adopted system, which they adopted back in October, counties will progress through less restrictive tiers and colors as the data allows. And this is really not a direct impact on the district. As you've heard many times, our operations are more or less invariant to what color we might happen to be in. All of our work is essentially not characterized by this framework. The framework was designed for retail businesses and hospitality and other services, personnel services, et cetera. So it's not regardless of how we progress through these tiers, it's not really a direct impact on the district. But it certainly is a direct impact to those in our service area. As the economy opens, as we move through tiers, hopefully we'll see less restrictions on the economy, and that will result in better conditions for those in our service area and higher employment and some of the issues that Sophia was talking about earlier in the workshop. So things are heading in the right direction. The data has rapidly improved. The ICU rates are forecasted to be well into the 20s, if not the 30%, in a matter of weeks. You may recall that those numbers were 0 or below 1% 7-10 days ago or so. So things have really dramatically changed. And so let's hope it stays this way. The other things going on at the district, as the board has heard about, we are implementing a testing program for those employees that work closely in close proximity to others. And we just finished a draft of our own vaccination plan, which I'll get onto shortly here. And I believe that was distributed to the unions yesterday, and other employees will see that shortly as it remains in draft form and we continue to refine it. And one of the reasons why we continue to refine it is that the state keeps changing how it's going to conduct its vaccination policy, and our program is necessarily dependent upon that. So the cornerstones of the district's vaccination policy are that it is not mandatory, and we will do everything we can to make vaccinations possible for district employees, facilitating vaccinations, including allowing vaccinations on district time. The prior framework that the state put out was a phased system, and I think within a phase there were various tiers based on age and emergency responders and teachers and those in the healthcare industry, doctors, and even utility workers, which were labeled and going to be vaccinated under what was called Phase 1C. So this is very, very recent news, but within the lunchtime hour, the state has now said they are going to move away from, they're going to get through 1B, Phase 1B in the 65 and older crowd, and then that may take a matter of months or so. Beyond that, they're going to work through an age-based policy. So it does remain to be seen when we'll be able to get our employees vaccinated and how we can help make that happen, but we will adapt. We're very much plugged in to the local counties that are administering this based on state guidance. So we will be very on top of things and be at the front of the line to the extent we can, and we'll be ready to respond. But the situation continues to evolve a bit. So we can't say with any certainty when employees will be vaccinated, but everything is moving as quickly as it can. And I think as the board is aware, there's been a lot of trials and tribulations with the state and the federal government and local counties getting their programs logistically set up, locations, registration mechanisms, et cetera. I anticipate all of that will be very quickly resolved. You've heard the commitments from the president. You've heard the commitments from the governor about how many vaccinations they want to see over such and such time frame. I think President Biden raised that up to 1.5 million vaccinations, or 150 million vaccinations in the first 100 days or so. But very quickly, I think as these logistical matters get worked out with various sites and the mechanics of it, everything will be essentially vaccine limited while we all wait for more vaccine doses. So a lot of talk about the process. I think that'll be over in a matter of days or weeks, and it'll all be about waiting for the vaccine to arrive.
Real quick, if I can interject, something came across the news a few minutes ago. The Biden administration has purchased 200 million vaccination doses and plans to bump up the distribution to states. That's brand new news since the board meeting began.
Thank you, Director Coleman. So just a snapshot of where we were as of last Friday. Again, our operations are stable. All of our work is getting done. As of last Friday, we were at 60 employee positives with 12 contractors. 54 of those 60 employees have returned to work. 6 were at home recovering from their symptoms or otherwise isolating for the set period of time. We expect them back. No employees are hospitalized with COVID. And we have, this is as of last week, 21 employees were quarantining as a result of exposures. Most of those were not within work. And then just to conclude here with some of the statistics that we track, the top graphic shows the amount of COVID-related leave that district employees have taken by pay period since last spring. And we're showing a decrease there, the last pay period, but we have to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. That's the holiday period. So many employees were planning to take time off anyway. I don't think we're going to see quite a dramatic drop once we add additional pay periods as we go through the winter here. I don't think it's going to drop quite that fast, but we expect it to drop over time, hopefully in line with the other statistics around us in the county and the state. The lower graphic shows the number of positives per month. That 13 in January is now a 16. We're at 63 positives as of today, so that's inching up, but it should be a drop off compared to December. So I hope every day is better than the day before, and it stays that way. Thank you. That's all I have.
And that's it for my reports.
You're on mute, President Lenny.
Thank you. We'll now move to reports and director comments. Minutes from the January 12th, 2020 planning and actually 2021 planning and legislative human resources committee meetings are included in the agenda packet. We will now receive reports from today's finance and administration and sustainability energy committee meetings. Director Patterson, you want to give us the finance committee report?
Yes. And let me say, absence from the switch was not absent from the meeting or the facts. The monthly investment transactions report was given, and we remain ahead financially, even though we had a heavy dip to pay off some bonds at mid-cycle. But overall, all of our categories went up in terms of finances. The interest rate swap portfolio summary was given by Ms. Skoda, and the quarterly financial reports, payroll, disbursements, real estate summary reports, water and wastewater both included, were all given. Everything is upbeat as far as the finances are concerned, and that is my report.
All right, thank you, Bill. The Energy and Sustainability Committee met this morning. We had two items. First one was the Climate Action Plan. That will be posted to our website. Effort made this year to make it more, make it briefer with side reports, make it more colorful, more readable, more accessible to our customers to hear about all the great things we are doing to mitigate and to mitigate climate problems and to reduce our carbon footprint. The second report was the reduction in paper footprint report. Effort to reduce paper. Our bulk paper use at the district declined by 46% just last year. Efforts are being made to decrease that even further with encouragement of participation in the electronic bill payment and to communicate more with our customers digitally in one form or another, including a possibility of transforming the customer pipeline newsletter to a completely e-newsletter. So great progress and efforts being made on that front as well. With that, are there any items for future consideration? Please submit those to the general manager. And are there any director comments?
I have one comment, Doug.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. Most of you know that my ability was limited in the past, but I do want to thank each member of the board. John was gracious enough to have the Upper McCollum River Water Authority adjourned their meeting in Dell's honor. And all of you have been so supportive. So I can't help but do better. And I am feeling stronger. My church came to the rescue and provided me with food for almost every day the last 7 or 8 days. So it's been a good support base that I've experienced. And as a result of that, I'm getting back into form, but I'm taking my time. I thank you very much. And I thank the EBMUD family in particular. And Lisa, your comments, I'm sure Dell heard.
Go quickly.
Go ahead, Lisa.
My home phone is in between Comcast and AT&T. So it's still on apparently, but I can't utilize it. So my home phone number is, if you need to reach me by cell, in short. And finally, Clifford, I will be able to figure out how to do the February 9th North Richmond MAC and participate in that. I should be sane by then.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any other director comments?
Mhm.
I would just, the only thing I wanted to add is and this is prompted by Lisa's comment just now about the various meetings that are happening out and about around the district. And for any of you that are watching the meeting or will watch this live stream, we are presenting the budget plans throughout the district over the next several weeks. And it may not be coming to a community organization near you, but I think there's going to be an effort to publish the information so that folks can attend those sessions, and it would encourage people to do so. And to also view the workshop that we had this morning on the budget.
All right, thank you, Marguerite. Okay, Bill, thank you for the update. I know we've all been thinking about you a lot lately, and know that we're all here for you in whatever way you need. Glad to hear your getting your game back up. I barely noticed any dip in your game myself, so I'm a little worried about what it's going to mean when you're back full speed. That's great. So with that, we will adjourn today's meeting in honor of Tom Garino, who passed away this December last month. Tom was a collaborative partner of the district through his works at PG&E, the San Leandro Chamber of Commerce, with various ethnic chambers of commerce, and his many other endeavors. It was hard to go to any community meeting without seeing Tom there in one of his colorful shirts. He generally eschewed the coat and tie type thing, so it made it easy to locate him when you needed to go talk to him about something or get a good joke from him. He was known well to many board members and staff. To his dedication and presence will be missed here and in the community. The next regular meeting of the board will be held on Tuesday, February 9th, 2021 at 1:15 p.m. This meeting is now adjourned in honor of Tom Garino.